Now, the JSC will continue with interviews for the Judge President of the Labour Court and Labour Appeal Court, as well as the vacancy in the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court in Mthatha. Joining us for more on today's interviews, though, is SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga. Good afternoon, Canny. So Judge Susannah Cowen was found to be the most suitable candidate for the position of Deputy Judge President of the Land Court. Talk to us about today's proceedings.
Well, good afternoon to you, Mfunda, and to the viewers at home. Indeed, there's a lot to discuss about day 2 of the JSC interviews. Currently, right now, they're wrapping up the last candidate for the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court that sits in Mthatha. What we have seen, if we place the Judge President of the Labour Court and Labour Appeal Court to the side, because I think that candidate has proven to be suitable for recommendation for appointment, that is Judge Mulahlehi. Of course, there are significant questions that need to be raised when you look back at the interviews of the Land Court and, of course, the current interviews that we're witnessing right now. Just seeing a candidate that has availed or raised their hand, rather, for all the divisions of the High Courts, including High Courts that they haven't even acted in, and raised their hand to serve in that particular role, raising some concerns for Judges Matter there, who is monitoring this process, the judicial process of appointments of judges. But to reflect further on these number of questions that we have regarding this, I am joined by Judges Matters Alison Tilley, who has been monitoring the JSC since it began its October leg of the sitting. I think we can start at the Land Court. And of course, we're seeing that this is a specialist court, and although they did recommend a candidate, most of the candidates didn't have a clear understanding of the Land Court, its mandate, as well as the importance of land rights, restitution, expropriation of land without compensation, and a lot of the political rhetoric that surrounds the question of land in South Africa. We saw a candidate being recommended, and I think that question about land expropriation without compensation was posed to her. Of course, it does raise some significant concerns about the caliber of candidates that we are seeing being placed before the JSC.
Well, I think certainly with the Land Court, it's an incredibly important issue. And one of the things that really needs to be dealt with is building the court, because the court has really only become a permanent institution with permanent judges recently. The backlog of cases was raised as being a really important problem. There are a number of projects underway in that court to try and deal with that backlog. But the broader question of how we deal with land is one that was put to the candidates. And I think it was concerning that candidates, and the one in particular, did not talk immediately to the question of the restitution of land to African people and women in particular. I think that was particularly surprising, and I think it raised eyebrows amongst the commissioners as well.
One went as far as even negating race to the question of land, which raised even more concerns for the JSC, because one would argue that it is central to land restitution.
Well, it has to be. I can't see any reading of the Constitution or the law or the case law that would say anything different. And he did seem to suggest that we needed to treat all people as equal, not to take race into account. So that was something that raised eyebrows, and I think a number of commissioners took that on. Needless to say, he was not appointed.
I also want to talk about the last candidate that we saw, Mr. Khalil, who has raised his hand for a number of divisions of the High Courts. That is a senior magistrate, rather, coming from the KZN province, raising their hand for numerous divisions of the High Court. Some he has never acted in. Of course, we've heard that there were some acting stints in KZN. I think I stand to be corrected. Quite concerning for the JSC to have a candidate come in, raise their hand for a division such as Gauteng, for example, that is inundated with administrative matters, the heart of administrative law, quite a busy division. around the clock we're seeing a backlog there, and you've raised your hand and you haven't even acted in that division, and that is one of the 2 candidates that have been shortlisted. Our understanding was always that those that are shortlisted are the cream of the crop, and you are really trying to find the best suitable candidates for these various judicial vacancies. But it looks like, or seems like, the candidate has just raised their hand for every court, just hoping for one to stick. I mean, that's quite concerning for the JSC to see candidates like that coming forward to this all-important body.
Yeah, and I think the comments by the Judge President from Gauteng were instructive. I think he indicated that you really shouldn't expect to come before the JSC and be looking for an appointment as a judge without having acted, in the division particularly that you are applying to be part of. And I think that's certainly what we're seeing here. The division, of course, in the Eastern Cape has a number of interesting challenges, including that of customary law. And we certainly got into the questions around customary law, which were important.
And then very quickly, we are seeing that the JSC is struggling to get suitable candidates to appear before the Commission. I mean, what really could be the remedy here? We couldn't even get a candidate for the Constitutional Court, the highest court in the land. And now we're seeing, in this day, the kind of interviews that we saw. And maybe it's not going to look promising for the rest of the week, but how does the JSC remedy this defect?
It's incredibly worrying. I think one of the things the JSC has done and is doing is try to improve the questioning, making it more respectful, making it more relevant, adopting criteria. So I think they've done that work, but I'm not sure that it's really percolated to the profession that this might actually not be as bad an interview as it was in the past. It's still a very daunting room, and very difficult questions do come up.
All right, thank you very much, Alison Tilley of Judges Matter, reflecting on quite a concerning day here at the JSC. We will be continuing with JSC interviews tomorrow. The focus is on the KwaZulu-Natal High Court division. They're looking for a deputy judge president there. Then, of course, they're trying to fill at least 6 vacancies in the KZN High Court. Hopefully there, the candidates there may be able to impress the JSC, and we'll be able to see a stronger list come forward for those judicial vacancies. Over to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much for that reportage. That's SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga, who continues to monitor proceedings at the JSC interviews for us.